Good evening, and you're welcome back to Around the Grounds here at Finalwhistle.ie. We might have a mid-season break in the SSE Men's Electricity Premier and First Division, but we're back with Women's National League coverage today. 4 games took place at 5 o'clock, while we had 1 game at 12 o'clock as well today. The final whistle has just blown in those 5 o'clock games, and we will start with the action down in Athlone, where high-flying Athlone Town were in action against Bohemians, and reporting for us, as always, is Sean Comer.
Yeah, Diarmuid full-time in Lizzie Woolen, and it's 2-1 to Athlone Town. They're back to winning ways after their winning streak was snapped last week by Wexford Youth. It got up to somewhat of a hectic start just 2 minutes in when a poor Anne-Marie Byrne touch was seized upon by Roisin Malloy. She drove at the Bows net. Her effort was parried, but only as far as Kelly Brennan, who was fouled in the box. Emily Corbett stepped up to slot away a penalty. She's been very reliable from the spot all season long, but shockingly, she blazed over to keep it 0-0 just 2 minutes in. Around the 50-minute mark, Bows started to have some half chances. That culminated in Brona Kane latching onto a loose ball just outside the net and testing Neve Combs at her near post. She smacked the woodwork though, again keeping it 0-0. And this first half, chances were really at a rarity. About the 37 minutes, Brona Kane again tried from range. Neve Combs tipped this onto the crossbar. So not a lot of luck for Bows in the first half, but nonetheless, it was probably fair enough to go in at half-time 0-0. In the 56th minute, Bows nearly got a chance. Kaylee Shine had a bad touch, and Cook seized upon that, but she just got her cues wrong and sent it over. Bit of a penalty shout for Bows. Then about 10 minutes later, Cook again, who did cause Athlone some issues all throughout this game, went through on goal. Kelsey Monroe went to usher off the ball. Cook went down under the contact, looking for a penalty, but the ref wasn't having it. Didn't really look like one from here, so Bows did not get a penalty. Then in the 70th minute, Kelly Brennan hit the bar for Athlone. The ball was played over the top. Emily Corbett chested it down to a really nice cushion down, and from really close range she hit the bar, but a corner was given, and Athlone did eventually get the breakthrough from the corner. It was swung to the back post, headed back across to where it came from, and Emily Corbett latched onto it, making up for her earlier mistake to make it 1-0, and Athlone just hit again Bows absolutely instantly after that. Perfect response to scoring. Just a minute later after the kickoff, they went bombing down the left wing. The ball was played across the edge of the area. It was Roisin Malloy who hit it from outside the box, took a touch off Maher, I think, on the way into the net, but it went in, and just like that, it looked like the game was out of sight for Bows. Did make it a bit nervy at the end when Chloe Darby was fouled in the box with about 3 minutes to go. Erica Burke stepped up and put away. She didn't put away the penalty for Bows, sorry. It was saved by Neve Combs, but the rebound fell to her and she slotted into an empty net. Nonetheless, they couldn't find the equaliser from there. It wasn't for lack of trying. They did pepper the Athlone box a good bit, but just couldn't break through. Final score, Athlone 2, Bohemians 1.
Perfect, Sean, and that, of course, was Sean Comer reporting live from the Athlone Town Stadium this evening. Moving up toward the capital, Peamount United have had a rather lacklustre season so far. They were looking to find some much-needed form as they welcomed Cork City to PRL Park this evening. Watching the game for us was Sam Curtin.
Hi, David, and yes, it was a new era for Cork City today as Danny Murphy began his stint, or the latest stint with Cork City, this time in the dugout at Turner's Cross this evening in the rescheduled home game for Cork City. It was a disappointing game though for the home side as they slumped to a 7-0 defeat today, and Peamount, they made, I guess they were heavy favourites going into the game, and they got off to a blistering start. 14 minutes in, it was Stephanie Roach who only seems to score fantastic goals, it seems, because she got a wonderful one on 14 minutes from a spectacular volley from a corner to give the visitors the lead. The Peas didn't rest on their laurels there. They kept chasing for a second goal, and they got their just rewards. Anya O'Gorman this time linking up with Soiv Doyle to get their second goal in 34th minute. A great goal from O'Gorman, who got 5 goals last time out and would finish with a hat-trick today. Just a few minutes there in the role to reverse. This time it was Anya O'Gorman feeding Soiv Doyle, who slotted past Abby McCarthy for a relatively straightforward finish to make it 3-0 after 37 minutes. Things will get worse in for the Cork goalkeeper McCartney, who had a good game leading up to this latest goal, which came through Doyle once again for a second. A fantastic finish it was as well. McCartney coming off her line, Doyle spotting it and putting in a spectacular chipped effort, lobbing the goalkeeper to make it 4-0, and that's how it is finished going into the interval. And the first quarter of the second half was took on a kind of a more of a scrappy kind of game, with the points very much sealed at half time. But 2 quick-fire goals from Anya O'Gorman made it 6-0 after 70 minutes. Again, as I said, 5 goals in the game between the sides back in April, and a hat-trick for today as well. Now, new signing Lauren Egbalani for City nearly got a goal back with a chip of her own in the 74th minute. A fantastic effort, which agonisingly just hit off the crossbar for what would have been probably the goal of the game. Michelle Doonan, then a substitute for Peamount, wrapped it up, made it 7-0 in the 83rd minute when she headed in from close range to complete the rout. Overall, a much needed victory for Peamount as they end their 7-game winless run. As for Cork, well, a disappointing start to the Danny Murphy era, but they welcome Treaty United next week in a bottom of the table clash. So a chance there to maybe get back to winning ways. Full time is finished at Turner's Cross. Cork City 0, Peamount United 7.
And thank you, Sam, for keeping us updated again on all things in relation to Cork City. Now, staying with a team who are up based in the capital, it would be the DLR Waves. They were going into today's game against Treaty United in 6th place. They travelled down to the Markets Field looking to find some much needed form and get a big 3 points. Reporting on today's game is Samuel Mansfield.
Yeah, thanks, Diarmuid. Treaty United really struggled today. DLR Waves run out 4-0 winners in Markets Field in Limerick. Avril Braley had a brace, which put the game to bed, really. But it was the home side who had the better of the chances in the first half. Ashley Meany had a couple in quick succession, one of which grazed the top of the crossbar, which Treaty will be unhappy with because they've been really unlucky in previous games. They hit the bar twice last week against Sligo. The second half then was... apologies. It was the South Dublin side who took the lead early through Avril Braley. It was a good finish. It was a non-rushing keeper, and she chipped the ball just over her. And it was the Waves who went in 1-0 at half-time. Treaty will feel a bit hard done by, as they did have the better of the chances, but the Waves had the majority of the possession in the first half. They carried that momentum then into the second half, which was, in all truth, very sloppy. Waves had a couple of chances early on, but both shots were put wide. Braley had a chance to get her second, which she ended up doing on 67 minutes. It was a poor mistake by the Treaty United defence, which she pounced on, which honestly could be a goal of the season contender, as from the corner of the box, she lobbed it over the Treaty United goalkeeper. Carla McManus came off the bench then to get the third for Treaty United, for DLR Waves, on 78 minutes. It was an error from the goalkeeper penalty for Treaty. It was pretty poor, and Carla McManus had an empty net to slot the ball into. Substitute Carla Dodd scored from the bench to give the Waves a 4-0 lead late on in the game with an effort from range. Another actual contender for goal of the season, but it was another poor Treaty clearance that gave her the opportunity to put the Waves further ahead. The South Dublin team walk away with all 3 points here in Limerick, and Treaty United will carry a bit of momentum next weekend away to their visit, away to Cork. Meanwhile, DLR Waves will be hosting Bohemians, and both games will take place next Saturday. Full-time score here in Markets Field in Limerick. DLR Waves running out 4-0 winners against Treaty United. Back to you, Diarmuid.
Perfect, Sam. Thank you for that report from the game between Treaty United this afternoon. Of course, that's Sam's first appearance on Around the Grounds here at Finalwhistle.ie. The final game that we have today is the tie between top of the table Shelburne and Galway Women's FC, coming from Tolka Park. Watching the action for us was Mashape Omenie.
Yes, Diarmuid. Shelburne won, Galway City won, and I'm not sure how the hosts didn't win this game. Jenna Slattery's delightful chip finish was an equaliser in a game that they really didn't deserve to win as far as they're concerned, but they'll take it all the same. Shelt had a chance to extend their cushion on top of the table after Wexford Youth lost earlier today, and they took the lead after 10 minutes. You know, they were dominant in terms of their chance creation, had plenty of chances, and somehow they only won up at half-time. So as Noonan brought the deadlock with a plum, a first-time finish that peeped into the near post after Abby Larkins crossed into the box. And they missed chance after chance. Rachel Graham and Noel Murray, especially Noel Murray, I don't know how she missed the chance that she did just before the hour mark. The goal was gaping at her mercy. A nice passage of passing play into the final third, and she shanked it over the bar. That miss kicked the visitors, it kicked the visitors into gear, and from then they were in the ascendancy. Tired legs, tired minds, and Slattery, she took advantage. She stole the ball, stole possession, and she saw the keeper off her line, chipped her from distance, and 1-1 was how it finished.
Perfect, Mo. Thank you, as always, for reporting on the games in the Women's National League. So there are the 4 live games that we had at 5 o'clock today, but we had one more game that kicked off around lunchtime earlier on today in Sligo, as Sligo Rovers hosted second placed Wexford Youths. Reporting at the showgrounds earlier today was Breffney Early.
Yes, and it has ended here 1-0 to the home side in the showgrounds, 1-0 to Sligo Rovers. A fantastic opportunistic effort from Emma Doherty after a mix-up at the back for Wexford. Saw her find the net from 25 yards, lobbing Maeve Williams in the Wexford goal. It didn't look like it was going to end up that way. Wexford had the better of the opportunities through the first half, only for Sligo to find themselves with the best chance. A Lauren Bowles effort going over the bar when it seemed like it would be easier to score. Scoreless at the break, but a stronger Sligo side came out in the second half, and they found themselves a long ball through, half cleared by Maeve Williams, fell at the feet of Emma Doherty, but still plenty to do. She found the net, lobbing the ball over the Wexford netminder from about 25 yards. Wexford did rally and did create a couple of chances, but weren't able to find their way past Amy Mahon, who had a stellar performance in the Sligo goal. It wasn't all to be one way at the end of it, though. Wexford, after missing a couple of opportunities to level scores, did in injury time find themselves with that opportunity to level the scores. The ball into the box, half cleared, ended up striking the arm of a Sligo Rovers defender. Referee pointed to the spot, and with 2 or 3 minutes of the injury time already played, Kylie Murphy stood up to level the scores. But of course, it was a poor penalty by Kylie standards, but a fantastic save from player of the game, Amy Mahon, to keep the ball out of the Sligo net and put the home side into raptures. It felt like they just won the cup final, but I think this does send a statement out to the rest of the league that Sligo aren't a flash in the pan, and they are capable of taking big results against the top sides in the league. Plenty of action here. Not a great game at times, but lots of goal mouth action and lots of opportunities for both sides. It was Sligo who took their opportunities, and therefore the 3 points will stay here in the showgrounds tonight. A great result for Sligo. They'll be very happy with their weekend's work. Back to the drawing board for Wexford ahead of a visit to Shells next week.
And that, of course, was Breffney Early reporting from the showgrounds earlier on today. A windy showgrounds, it has to be said. Apologies for any audio interference during Breffney's report there. We'll look at the results, of course, from today. We'll do a brief run through all of the results. Starting with the game, of course, Breffney was just mentioned there. Sligo Rovers 1-0 winners over Wexford Youths. Shelburne and Galway finishing in a 1-1 draw at Tolka Park. DLR Waves getting a big 3 points on the road at Shannonside, a 4-0 win over Treaty United. Peamount United 7-0 winners over Cork City, definitely putting a statement down that they're still in contention to finish around the top half of the league table. Anya O'Gorman with a hat-trick this afternoon. Athlone Town continued their high-flying form with a 2-1 win over Bohemians and the Athlone Town Stadium this evening as well. And we'll look at the league table as well to see where the teams are fixed after this weekend. And looking at the top of the league table, it is still Shelburne who are controlling the league table. They're on 34 points after managing to get a point against Galway this evening. But it has to be said, Wexford have just managed to keep on to second place. They dropped points earlier on today, while Athlone Town are just 1 point behind them now. But Peamount United are 2 points behind them in fourth place, with Galway and DLR Waves occupying fifth and sixth. Galway moving down into fifth place with the draw this afternoon. We'll take a look at the scoring statistics as well from the league, and it's Anya O'Gorman who goes back to top spot in the scoring charts after she found the net 3 times this afternoon. That sends her up to 13 goals for the season. Her teammates Sive Doyle and Stephanie Roach also got onto the score sheet. They are both on 7 goals apiece for the season. Emily Corbett is in hot pursuit of O'Gorman as well for the Golden Boot. She got her 11th goal of the season, while Emma Doherty and Saoirse Noonan were both an inspiration for their teams today. Unfortunately for Shelburne, they were pegged at the end, and they did finish 1-1 there, but they have both managed to score 6 times this season. Noonan managing to do it with 3 games less played. But Avril Brearley is also on the score sheet today. She has managed to net her 5th and 6th of the season, the Waves' top goal scorer so far. And looking at the clean sheet stats as well, Amy Mahan has managed 3 shutouts in a row. She's up to 3 now for the season, while Niamh Reid Burke also joins her on 3 as she kept a clean sheet today, while Eve Badana is the closest challenger to Amanda Budden at the top of the goal scoring charts, as Eve is now up to 6 for the season, while Amanda is 3 clear on 9 so far. So that we'll move on now to fixture lists, and we'll start with the fixtures coming for next week. So action does continue in the Women's National League next Saturday. Kicking the weekend off, Peamount United travel west to meet Sligo Rovers. It's top of the table meeting between Shelbourne and second place Wexford Youths at Tolka Park. Athlone travel down the M6 and are away to Galway Women's FC. All those games kick off at 2 p.m. At 4 p.m, we have a Dublin derby between DLR Waves and Bohemians at the UCD Bowl. And finishing the day at 5 p.m, it's the Munster derby at Turner's Cross, where the bottom 2 teams in the league go head-to-head. Cork City, of course, taking on Treaty United. And then we are back next Friday, of course, for action coming from the SSE Premier Division and the First Division, starting with the Premier Division. Shamrock Rovers face back-to-back Dublin derbies as they travel to Inchicore to meet St. Patrick's Athletic. Derry will look for a similar fortune from the last trip to Tolka Park as they face Shelbourne. Drogheda are looking to continue their unbeaten run of 3 games as they host UCD at Head in the Game Park. Well, Dundalk will be hoping that they remain in second place as they travel west to meet Sligo at Showgrounds. While in the 8 o'clock kickoff, Finn Harps, they look to be stuck in 9th place in the table, but a win over Bohemians at Finn Park will go a long way for their season and try and keep UCD at bay in 10th place. All those games kicking off, of course, at 7:45, except for the game below up at Finn Park. And in the Premier Division, the First Division also returns on June 10th. All those games kicking off at 7:45 as well. Wexford can go level on points with Treaty United if they can take 3 points from the Shannon Siders next Friday. It's a battle definitely for the final playoff place there. Cork and Waterford's meeting in the Munster Derby at Turner's Cross has been postponed pending a refixture for another day, while in the final game of the night, Athlone are back on home soil to entertain Cove Ramblers in Lissy-Woolen. And then on Saturday at Longford Town will welcome the challenge of Bray Wanderers at Bishopsgate. That game kicking off at 7:30. So that will conclude all of our action from around the grounds this evening. All the match reports available on the Finalwhistle.ie website as well, and we'll have action coming from a wide variety of different sports over the next coming days. You can join us again next Friday night when we'll be back with Premier and First Division football, and the Women's National League will return on Saturday as well. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. You have a great one, and we'll be chatting to you again next weekend. I hope you will join us then, but until then, have a lovely time and goodbye.